Good day, and we're here again on our series, The Effective Communication of Serenity, a Marital Serenity Tool. Today being the day 5 of this series, we should be looking at the final level of communication in marriage and the effect of ineffective or poor communication in marriage. The final level of communication in marriage is the intimate communication. This is exactly just the way it sounds. It is that level of communication that indicates an expression of love and affection. You may want to whisper words like, "I love you so much," to your spouse, because this is the deepest level of communication between couples, as it contains statements and actions that no one else should express to your spouse. This is the kind of communication that binds hearts together and builds the kind of closeness that keeps a marriage strong and lasting. The level 6 is a proof of intimacy and comfort in your marriage. It can be very useful to diffuse any form of conflict that is brewing amongst you as a couple. And as a couple on this level, you would like to de-escalate any form of tension on the horizon. You become observant of your spouse's emotion, and you could choose to use words like, "I can tell you're upset. How would you like me to help?" Or "What would you have me do to help? What's going on?" This is a very powerful and a great way to diffuse any conflict when things get heated. All 6 levels of communication are important, and what makes a healthy marriage is contained in all 6 levels. You should be able to use all 6 to grow a healthy and a thriving marriage. Sadly, a lot of couples start off using the 6 levels of communication, but along the line, familiarity syndromes or challenges involved in marriage, such as conflicts or parenting, take over them, that they find themselves only communicating at the basic level, using maybe level 1 or level 2. They just talk about their kids and how to pay bills, and next, communication completely dies off and never goes deeper, especially in the face of conflict. But this is when effective communication is most needed. You can think of these 6 levels of communication as a ladder to accessing serenity, happier, emotional, and healthy life as a couple. Any couple who has remained at level 1 or level 2 of this communication needs to learn how to spend time together so they can build deeper connection with each other. Yet there are couples who fall into the temptation or the trap of using level 1 and 2 during a hectic period. These couples become like sheep passing in deep darkness of the night with no light to illuminate their path. It is then a good idea to learn how to insert useful phrase in the face of conflict. You could say, "What do you think?" This helps you to solicit response from your partner. Or you could say, "Do you feel or do you think this sounds reasonable?" Rather than just making a conclusion and trying to shove it down your partner. When using level 3 and 4 of this communication, you need to solicit your partner's response so that it doesn't appear as if you are lecturing your partner. This phrase hands conversation over to your partner, enabling them to connect better and to resolve conflict. Whenever you do so as a couple, you are making effort to connect better. And as a couple, whatever you do, ensure that you use level 5 and level 6 of communication at least 30 minutes or even 15 minutes in a day for a rock solid marital relationship. So before we proceed for today, I'd like to give you a quick task. Take a look at the way you and your spouse are communicating, and evaluate, are you at level 3? What level really are you communicating at? Deeper types of communication exist, and we have seen it. Are you truly connecting? Are you sharing your innermost thoughts and expression? Are you communicating intimately and affectionately? This is important for you to evaluate as we proceed on this series, so that you will be able to make connections and get results from this series. So we move on to the effect of lack of effective communication in marriage, or you could say effect of ineffective communication in marriage. Being married for long makes some couple normalize the lack of effective communication in marriage because they believe it is something that is common. So they normalize ineffectiveness in their communication. You get carried away by the routine of your daily tasks, and you just go into action mode with everything you do, as a couple, without deeming it fit to communicate or to discuss that. The result of this is that the once enjoyable marriage, the once enjoyable conversation you have, will now turn into a chit chat in a hallway, just a passing conversation. And that is when you find yourself at level 1. This makes you take effective communication for granted, and over time communication seems to go away between you and your partner. You may go an entire day without talking to each other or communicating about anything. You may probably think that this is normal, but this is very unhealthy for your marriage. It is true that the responsibility of marriage can make communication shift over a period of time, and this is why you need to be intentional about the way you communicate. The reality is that when you are not communicating effectively, it creates a huge gap, which brings about bigger problems in your marriage. Marriage without effective communication is not sustainable. There are serious problems that can arise as a result of this, one of which includes disregard of support from your spouse. This might not sound like a big problem, but it is a big problem. When you're married, you should be able to first seek support from your partner. That's not to say that you cannot seek for help elsewhere, but you should first at least seek for that support from your partner to be able to even find out if your partner can support you before searching for support outside. You cannot stay with your partner and exist as roommates. Instead, as a couple, you need to fill the void for each other, because when you don't do this through effective communication, you look for means outside on how to fill this void. Couples who do not talk to one another are more like roommates. Drawing away from your spouse, either in thoughts or in your action, can be very harmful and damaging to your marriage. The lack of respect and love you experience can be as a result of ineffective communication, and this gives rise to insecurity, which might cause one spouse to seek someone outside the marriage to fill this void that is lacking in the marriage. When this is lacking as a result of conflict, then you might turn to someone else out of necessity, and this might not end well. How do you know if you are not being supportive as a spouse? How do you know when you are not being supportive to your partner as a spouse? Some of the inclinations that suggest that you are not being supportive is when you tend to dismiss the concerns of your partner. Number 2 is that when you don't offer to help when decisions are being made. Number 3, when you often criticize your partner even when it is unnecessary. Number 4, when you don't motivate them to achieve their dreams and aspirations, then you are likely to be that partner that is unsupportive. So you need to ask yourself, are you living with your spouse as a partner, or are you just existing as a roommate? Until I come your way again tomorrow, I remain your Serenity Coach, Chineye Mobi. Bye.